all are safe and healthy at home. I'm sure you might have read the first part of the chapter quality from your prose text that we tried to understand in our last class. And I am sure you might have looked at the difficult words and the meanings that are given in your textbook, and also you might have looked into your dictionary and tried to understand the meanings of words. Children, when you look into your textbook and learn a lot of new words, and also when you look into your dictionary, you try to enrich your vocabulary, isn't it? And when you learn a lot of new words, you are able to write well. Your writing skills develop. Okay, so let's quickly try to recollect what we had learned in the last class. Children, we had learned that the Gessler brothers had established a business in London. Though they belonged to Germany, they had established their business and they had a small shop, and Mr. Gessler used to make shoes. Their shop was in a small district. And now the writer of the story, the narrator, was acquainted with this shoemaker, Mr. Gessler, right from his childhood, because the writer's father used to order shoes only from Mr. Gessler. Now, why the writer and his father and their family ordered shoes only from Mr. Gessler? And why was this bootmaker different from other businessmen? Right? Of course, we had tried to understand about Mr. Gessler, isn't it? So let's try to look at the qualities, as the name of the chapter is quality. We had also tried to understand what does the word quality means, particularly in this story. Okay, so what were the qualities Mr. Gessler possessed, which had impressed the writer and his father, and they ordered shoes only from Mr. Gessler. They did not go anywhere else. And also we had learned, children, that Gessler was very perfect in his work, isn't it? He made perfect shoes, and once, the writer had ordered shoes from him and purchased shoes from Mr. Gessler, it lasted for a long period as the quality was very good. And he did not come to the Gessler brothers often to order for new shoes, right? And also, children, we had learned that the Gessler brothers, were very sincere, honest, okay, trustworthy, truthful, okay, and they always had perfection in their work, isn't it? And also, once what happened, the writer went to Mr. Gessler and he was wearing a shoe which he had not purchased from Mr. Gessler. He had bought that shoe from a big firm, from a big showroom, big company. And Mr. Gessler could easily recognize that those were not the shoes made by him. And the writer also had felt very sorry, as he had complained to Mr. Gessler that the shoes had creaked. So he was so hurt by those comments, children, isn't it? And also the writer felt very bad for having done so. So he could easily make out, and he told the writer that those were not the shoes made by him. And he also told that these big firms, though make glamorous shoes, but the quality was not good. So children, now we have to move on to the second part of the chapter. Before that, let's try to look at the qualities of Mr. Gessler. Okay, he was very simple, isn't it, children? He spoke in German accent, right? We have tried to look at some sentences, okay, because he belonged to Germany. He was very simple, soft-spoken, right? Soft-spoken, and he was honest. He was truthful, and he was trustworthy. Okay, he was perfect in his work. Okay, that means he had skills, children. He had developed skills of manufacturing perfect shoes, isn't it? So these were some of the qualities which made him different from other shoemakers, right? Children, the words which describe a person or the words which tell us something about a noun, about a person, are called adjectives. And we use adjectives to describe a person. So whenever you read a story or any lesson from your prose text or your supplementary text, you try to understand the character, okay? Because many times in your exams, you are asked to describe the particular character. Okay, so when you have to describe that character, you need to know the qualities of that person, okay? And as I had told you, children, many times you also are asked to justify the title of the story, right? So now, why has this lesson been named quality? What does quality mean here? Here, quality means the quality of work. The quality of the work done by Mr. Gessler or the Gessler brothers, okay? And also we are trying to look at the qualities of the person, the main character of the story, Mr. Gessler. So children, I hope you are noting down the qualities so that it helps you to describe the character. Now let's move on to the second part of the story. Okay, so please listen carefully as I try to read, and if you have your textbook at home, please open your textbook and look into the textbook, or you can look at your screen too. Okay, now it hurts you there. Children, the German accent again here. It hurts you there. Okay, so you must try to read with proper English accent. Okay, when you read. He said, those big worms have no self-respect. And then, as if something had given way within him, he spoke long and bitterly. It was the only time I ever heard him discuss the conditions and hardships of his trade. They get it all, he said. They get it by advertisement, not by work. They take it away from us, who love our bloods. It means who love our bloods. It goes to this, presently I have no work. He wanted to say, presently he had no work. Every year it gets less. You will see, and looking at his lined face, I saw things and bitter struggle, and what a lot of grey hairs there seemed suddenly in his red beard. Now children, as I told you, you must try to read correctly through the lines as you read the German accent of Mr. Gessler. Now children, here, as I told you, once the writer had worn shoes made from or shoes that he had purchased from a big company, okay, so he could easily recognize that he had not made those shoes. So he tried to tell that those big firms, they have no self-respect because they are not concerned about the quality, right? And then he started speaking, and he spoke long, and it was the only time the writer heard him speak about his conditions and the hardships he underwent. Otherwise, the writer never knew what problems or challenges Mr. Gessler was going through. Now, for the first time, he told how hard it was, how difficult it was for him to make perfect shoes, to keep in mind the quality, okay, not money. And he said these big firms, they advertise and they try to advertise their products and, gain popularity. But Gessler never did that. Isn't it, children? Please try to understand. Gessler never advertised. I told you that he had a very simple shop and not a decorated one, but he gave much importance to the quality of the work, right? And then he said, they take from us who love our boots. Okay. So what did he say here? What do the big companies do? They buy boots from these small boot makers and they try to sell those shoes, in their branded names. They give them the brand of their company and they sell. So he said they take away, from us our boots. Okay. And then he was telling that right now he had no work because people were attracted more and more towards the big firms and companies, and nobody came to buy shoes from him. Okay. And then the writer could understand his problem and he could, look at the gray hairs, in his beard. So here the writer says for the first time he could understand the difficulties of the Gessler brothers, how much they struggled to make shoes, isn't it? And to bring that perfection in their job. They could not compete with those big firms, isn't it, children? As he told, the big firms and companies, they advertised, they had big showrooms. So he could not compete with those big firms. But he was very confident about his work, about the perfectness in his work. Now let's move on to the next paragraph, children. As best I could, I explained the circumstances of those ill-omened boots. But his face and voice made so deep an impression that during the next few minutes, I ordered many pairs. They lasted longer than ever, and I was not able to go to him for nearly 2 years. It was many months before my next visit to his shop. This time it appeared to be his elder brother, handling a piece of leather. Well, Mr. Gessler, I said, how are you? He came close and peered at me. I am pretty well, he said, slowly. But my elder brother is dead. So he wanted to say his elder brother. Okay. So now, children, what happened? As the writer was not very happy because he had complained Gessler about the shoes that he had not bought from his company, isn't it? So he was feeling so bad. Okay. And he tried to, patch up with that. He tried to console him. He tried to convince him that he did not want to hurt him. Okay. But, children, here there is a word ill-omened. Now, children, here omens means something which is good or bad, which is going to happen in future. Okay. Some bad sign or some good sign, we say ill omen means bad omens. Okay. Having or marked by bad omens. Here omens means something good or bad that could happen in future. Okay, so here those ill-omened boots. Ill-omened boots here is, children, the boots which he, had taken to Mr. Gessler and complained that they had creaked. And as Gessler could, recognize that those boots were not bought from his shop. So he was really very sad about it, to hear that, the shoes made by him had creaked. So now he tried to tell him that, okay, whatever has happened, please don't worry about it, okay. And he saw that still that sadness was there on his face. So what did the writer do, children? He ordered many pairs of shoes. Because he had told that he had no work then, right? And he was really struggling for his livelihood. Okay, so he ordered many pairs. And as I told you, his work was so perfect that once he bought all these shoes, he need not come to him for a long time. So for nearly 2 years, he did not go to him, because he had so many pairs of shoes and all good ones of good quality, right? And after 2 years, when he went to Mr. Gessler's shop, so Gessler was not there, children, but his elder brother was there. And when he tried to call out Mr. Gessler, his elder brother came out and he told that his elder brother was dead. So Mr. Gessler was dead, children, and he got this news from his elder brother. So what happens next? And I saw that it was indeed himself, but how aged and wan, okay. And never before had I heard him mention his brother. Much shocked, I murmured, "Oh, I'm sorry." "Yes," he answered, "he was a good man. He made a good boot, but he is dead." And he touched the top of his head, where the hair had suddenly gone as thin as it had been on that of his poor brother, to indicate, I suppose, the cause of his death. "Do you want any boots?" And he held up the leather in his hand. It's a beautiful piece. Now he could see his brother, he was aged too, he had become old, and he had never heard Mr. Gessler talking about his brother, and now he was shocked to hear about the death of Mr. Gessler, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then he answered, yes, he was a good man. He made a good boot. That means he made good quality boots. But he is dead now. And he just touched the top of his head, okay, where there was no hair, okay. And maybe he said that could be the cause of his death. The writer says, I suppose the cause of his death. What could have been the cause of his death? As the writer had observed before also, that he had become old and his hair had grown grey, right? So he feels that maybe that could have been the cause of his death. And his brother asked the writer whether he required any pair of boots, and he also brought a piece of leather, and he said, "This is a beautiful piece." Now what did the writer do, children? I ordered several pairs. It was very long before they came, but they were better than ever. One simply could not wear them out. And soon after that, I went abroad. It was over a year before I was again in London, and the first shop I went to was my old friend's. I had left a man of 60. I came back to one of 75, pinched and worn, who genuinely, this time, did not at first know me. "Do you want any boots?" he said. "I can make them quickly. It's a lack time." So this time, children, the writer says that when he had come and he came to know about the death of Mr. Gessler, okay, he ordered several pairs of shoes. And then he did not come to the shop for a long time because he had gone abroad. And then after a year, he was back again in London. And the first shop he went to was Mr. Gessler's. And he says when he had gone abroad, he was around 60 years, and now when he came back again, he was 75 years old, and you know, he had become very old, and that tiredness was there on his face, and you know, he did not recognize the writer because he had grown old. Okay, and he asked him whether he wanted any boots, and he said, I can make them quickly for you. I answered, please, please, I want boots all around, every kind. I had given those boots up when one evening they came. One by one I tried them on, in shape and fit, in finish and quality of leather. They were the best he had ever made. I flew downstairs, wrote a check and posted it at once with my own hand. A week later, passing the little street, I thought I would go in and tell him how splendidly the new boots fitted. But when I came to where his shop had been, his name was gone. Children, here, after so many years when he came back to London, and Mr. Gessler could not recognize him, and when he asked whether he wanted to order any pairs of shoes, okay, so he ordered many pairs, and he said, I want every kind, okay. So one by one he tried those shoes, and all of them were very good in quality, good quality leather, and you know, they fitted him so well. He was very happy. Okay, so what did he do? He went out and he posted the check with his own hands. He wrote down the check for Mr. Gessler to pay for all those shoes he had ordered. And then what happened, children? After a week, when he was passing through that street, he tried to go into his shop. And what did he find there? His name was gone. So I went in very much disturbed. In the shop, there was a young man with an English face. Mr. Gessler in, I said. No, sir, he said. No, but we can attend to anything with pleasure. We have taken the shop over. Yes, yes, I said. But, Mr. Gessler? Oh, he answered. Dead. Dead? But only I received these boots from him last Wednesday. Okay? So here, this time, children, when he went there, the name of Gessler brother was not there in the shop. Instead, he found a new person, a strange person there. Okay? An Englishman who had bought that shop from Mr. Gessler. And when he asked where was Mr. Gessler, he said, Mr. Gessler is dead, he is no more. And the writer was really surprised because, you know, last Wednesday he had bought so many pairs of shoes from him, isn't it? So this was really shocking for him. Ah, he said, poor old man starved himself. Slow starvation, the doctor called it. You see, he went to work in such a way, would keep the shop on, wouldn't have a soul touch his boots except himself. When he got an order, it took him such a time. People won't wait. He lost everybody. And there he would sit, going on and on. I will say that for him. Not a man in London made a better book. But look at the competition. He never advertised. He never advertised. Would have the best leather too. And do it all himself. Well, there it is. What could you expect with his ideas? But starvation. Children, now the writer tried to understand the condition of the Gessler brothers. Okay? That the poor old bootmaker was so sincere, was so honest, so perfect that he wouldn't eat on time. He would work. He was a workaholic, as I told you before. He used to work a lot, day and night, and he used to make perfect boots, and he could not compete with the big firms. And he did not get much work, children. That also we had seen once he had described his conditions. So he used to starve. Many a times he did not have food to eat. That was his condition, children. But he never complained. So let's move on now to the last paragraph of the story, children. That may be a bit flowery, as the saying is. But I know myself he was sitting over his boots day and night to the very last, you see. I used to watch him. Never gave himself time to eat. Never had a penny in the house. All went in rent and leather. How he lived so long, I don't know. He regularly let his fire go out. He was a character. But he made good boots. Yes, I said he made good boots. So children, now the writer who understood him very well, because he got, an opportunity to observe his living condition. How he worked day and night. He did not have a single penny. Whatever money he earned, he spent it to buy good quality leather, because he never compromised with the quality. And he made perfect boots. He never ate on time, children. He starved most of the time. So, and finally he sacrificed his life. Though he led a very simple life, children, exemplary life. We need to learn from Mr. Gessler a lot. And of course, the writer was very impressed by this person, and at the end of the story, he feels so bad, when he heard about the death of, Mr. Gessler. And after some time, even his brother. And he understood that they might have died because of starvation. Because, he did not compromise with the quality, and he was not worried about earning money, children. He was worried about a good quality. So he took time, and many people didn't come to him, and therefore he had to starve as he did not have money. And finally, the writer feels this could have been the cause of the death of Gessler brothers. So I hope you have understood this lesson, children. Now I would request you to read the second part that we discussed today also very carefully, and try to look at the question answers. And also I had told you, you must try to make simple questions from each stanza and try to write down the answers in your notebook. Write and practice so that you perfect your writing skills too. So happy reading. See you in the next class.